of the day, it is a bottom line net profit margin that really helps companies to invest in research and research, as well as think about other possibilities of new products, new services, and so on and so forth. Without again going too deep into it, I commend your desire to branch out into that area, but I also want to acknowledge, based on my own experience and everything I observe and read, that it is a very challenging undertaking. So we have to recognize that it is not easy. It is going to require a lot of preparation, and I am prepared to talk about several of those in this conversation. I am intentionally referring to this as a conversation because I am not by the end of this meeting, I'm not going to leave you with, here is the answer to all that needs to be done. But my goal is to at least identify a number of things that need to be thought through, discussed, and you need to arrive at what is the right answer for St. Joseph's College for you to move forward with any kind of consulting assistance. If you see the other side, I'm the company CEO, CIO, whatever, if any of you came to me and said, I am from St. Joseph's College and I'm here to help you, my immediate reaction is likely to be as good as the income tax department coming to the company and saying, we are from the government, or we are from the income tax department and we are here to help you. I don't think too many of us will immediately trust them and believe that they can really help us. So the foundational things for any consulting kind of engagement certainly starts with trust. We have to be able to earn the trust of the customers, in this case, the organizations. And I might even qualify that a little bit to say the senior leaders of the organization, who are the ones very likely you will end up engaging with to get them to say yes to whatever services that you are likely to offer. So the trust building at that level is very, very critical. Assuming that we have been able to create or build that level of trust, the next things that would go through the mind of an executive is, do these folks have the right level of expertise for them to be able to assist me as a company? And as part of that, you may have to demonstrate or illustrate your understanding of what my industry is, what my organization is doing, and some basic level of knowledge of what could be challenges or opportunities that I could be interested in, for us to really have a meaningful, impactful conversation, for me to say, yes, I want your services. Now let's talk about how to scope it, what kind of time frame, who to involve from my side, what might be the fee structure, what might be the deliverables that comes out of this engagement. All of those kinds of things will become the second and third level conversations. I tend to talk a little fast because of my comfort level with whatever I may be talking about, but I do want you to please feel free to stop me if you want me to go slow, or even ask a question without waiting till the end. I think you all will also be aware and understand that in any interaction, we only get one chance to make the best first impression. If we mess up that first impression, it becomes very difficult to continue to recover from it and to possibly create something that could be even more positive than what could have been a fabulous first impression. The point I'm trying to make by making those statements is preparation and over-preparation cannot hurt us. So we really have to be very comfortable with what we're trying to do, how we are going to do it, and what is in it for the executive or for the company that you are going to target. And I will slowly get into how to get to that level. As it was mentioned again in my profile, McKinsey, I spent 16 years there, And McKinsey happens to be the world's #1 management strategy consulting firm. When a CEO in the US, particularly among the larger firms, needs help, whether in good times or in bad times. In good times, for example, the business is booming, we have a lot of money available to us, we want to invest it appropriately so that we can continue to propel that growth and scale even greater heights, they turn to McKinsey. And in bad times, when the economy begins to contract, they still turn to McKinsey because they want to be able to manage through a recession, manage through an economic downturn. So the firm as in McKinsey is truly looked upon as a trusted advisor to the senior leaders of the most recognizable businesses in the world. That is what they do. And to do that, obviously, they hire the best talent possible. Many of them come in from the MBA programs at the world's top 20, 30 MBA programs. But in our context, the way to become noticed, clearly St. Joseph's College has a reputation, but that alone is not going to take us to where you may be aspiring to go. So you may have to illustrate as a faculty member, as a department, or as a team of thought leaders, you may have to illustrate your experience either by an article that you write on a specific topic. It could be by the fact that some of you get invited to give speeches at various events, whether it's professional events or at other forums that may be of interest, and that gets covered for people to get to know who the experts are in this field. Other examples would be case studies, for example. If you have done a consultancy engagement with a company in a specific situation, writing about it without necessarily revealing the details of who the company was or what exactly you did for them, but to sanitize that kind of information, but provide a case study of company A was in this kind of a situation, and this is how St. Joseph's College advisors got involved and were able to make an impact and really help that company to get to a better place than where they found themselves in. So if there is a case study that talks about that kind of even general information in a professional journal, these days it could even be done by, I don't know, a 5-minute video clip that could be shared with some of the leaders of organizations where they may have a similar need. So those are ways in which you will become recognized and could become in demand. The other ways of thinking about it are also, you could develop analytical tools. There are any number of situations. For example, company A may be interested in knowing whether their cost structure is appropriate or even best among their competitors. And to do that, you may need a simple tool, whether it is a spreadsheet based or some other form that can quickly capture where do they spend their money. And then either through your own market research or through readily available information that you can either buy or get access to even from library services, you should be able to assist me. For example, if I told you I am spending 30% on people cost, and mine is a service organization, you should be able to sort of map that out to say, other companies doing similar work like what you are doing spend, I don't know, from 20% to up to 35%. And this is what the spread is like. It might be salaries, it might be benefits, it could be training and development for staff. So all kinds of people costs put together. If it's costing this particular business 30%, you should be able to come in there, use a tool, use the additional knowledge that you have acquired through the market knowledge, and be able to tell me that your cost is on the higher end of where your competitors are. And we as executives might say, we are okay with it as long as there is sufficient value coming out of it. Or on the other hand, we might feel that we need to undertake measures to reduce that cost and bring that in line, or even make it best in class within those group of companies for us to become much more competitive. That's just one example of what you might want to do. As I said, profitability again is probably the number one reason why businesses do what they do. They want to make profit, and they want to invest that profit, and they want to continue to grow and so on. My understanding from some of what I have heard is that you are still in the very early stages of trying to do this. Am I accurate in my assessment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Please proceed, sir. Yes, sir.
So there are some bigger decisions that you all may want to think about and discuss and make. For example, how are you going to brand yourself? Branding is very critical. If you look at the most successful companies in the world, they all have a brand name, whether it is a Sony or a Nike or an IBM or whoever, and they are very clear about what they do. And so you may want to think about, are you going to go in as, I don't know, the St. Joseph's College faculty advisors, or whatever name you come up with, or St. Joseph's College Consulting Services, or St. Joseph's College something else. So that's one model to brand yourself in a very visible, very consistent, well thought out manner, such that whether you work for a company in Cuddalore or a company in Pondicherry or a company anywhere, the moment they see the name, they will know what they can expect. The other model is to go down the freelancer route, meaning any faculty member that wants to do this goes out there and does it in his or her own name. And what you end up in that kind of a model is, some of you may end up being really exceptionally good at what you do. There may be variations in that service, but there is no common thread or common recognizable reputation that comes with it. The reputation tends to follow individuals who are good, but not collectively as a faculty body that is trying to do this. There are several other considerations besides branding. Going back to the McKinsey example, for example, if they deliver a document to a client, no matter what part of the world, you can know that it is a McKinsey document, because the content is very similar, the layout of the content is very consistent, and some of the graphs and the way they use visuals to tell the story of what it is that they came in to do, what did they find, and how did they analyze the data that they had access to, how did they draw their conclusions. So all of that story will be very easy to follow. So I would strongly urge you to adopt a consistent content methodology that really speaks for the work of this institution. And I'm certainly happy to work with whoever among you is going to be responsible for these various components, because I can easily provide you with examples of how some of the leading organizations are doing it, and really help you to build on it. Similarly, whether you want to go to market selling your services as individuals or as a team, that is also critically important, because when I try to hire somebody, I want to know that there is a depth within the team that I'm going to be working with. Not one single individual who, God forbid, could get hit by the bus in the middle of my project, and we may never hear from that person again. It is a risk that executives are very reluctant to take. So they prefer a team-based approach, and a team-based approach can also afford the opportunity to bring in people with multiple expertise. even among you, I know you are organized by departments, but I see quite some commonality. In the earlier examples, when I talked about analytical tools and whatnot, that could very well be coming from a mathematics department or from a computer science department. And then there could be someone else that is really the thinker, the visionary, that really can solve problems of any kind for an organization. And when those individuals come together and work as a team, the client will, one, appreciate it, two, will get a lot more value from it, and three, for your own benefit, you could have opportunities for cross-selling, as we call it. Even though you may have gone in to do project A, whatever the project is, but in the course of the project, you may identify opportunities to bring your second team that focuses on maybe employees. And going back again to the cost example I was talking about, if my organization is paying people at a certain level, and if you are able to show me that I could be or I should be getting more value for that kind of spend, then we may talk about productivity of individuals. How skilled are they? How well trained are they? Are they really bringing out the best in themselves in every single thing that they do? And I think at one point I heard that that may be one of your areas of interest and expertise. So those are again some very simple examples of how a larger combination of you can come together, work together, deliver a lot more value to any institution than any single person trying to do one thing for a company. Some of the engagements that you may take on, I mentioned it could be cost management. If you are able to bring together an expertise that can help companies to grow, and growth can come from multiple areas, as I mentioned briefly earlier, you might help a company to identify a need in the marketplace that is not being met by anybody else at the right level. So the client company might go after that market, either trying to develop the product or the services that can satisfy that need, or they might try to acquire a company that may already be half the way there in their thinking, in their product, in their service development, that your client can possibly acquire them to grow faster than trying to start from the bottom and begin to build up. Entry into new markets is another opportunity. If your client is working only within, I don't know, Tamil Nadu or South India, helping them to think bigger, not only within the Indian market, but maybe even through other service delivery methods to leverage the global market. So that's another way of growing the company. I know you have a very strong computer science program. A lot of the companies still, not only in India, even across the globe, still do things quite manually. So there are opportunities for automation, even in the field of AI and other areas. There is a term that's coming into focus these days. It's called RPA, robotic process automation, where consultants like yourselves may come in to an organization like mine, try to understand either at the individual level or at the team level, the activity that the team or the individual does in the course of a day or a week. And then we call it the activity value analysis. So for each activity, what is the value that is derived? Sometimes people spin the